The man could not recall how he became stranded on the small island. He'd washed ashore, bruised and bloody, with an incessant beeping echo through his memory. In the darkness of his closed eyes, he would see flashes of fire and metal, but what it all meant remained a mystery to him. He'd spent his first day along the shore, too worried to leave the visibility of the beach. He built a fire, cracked a coconut, and made a temporary shelter from nearby branches and leaves. He did not sleep well. His body was sore, his memories were fragmented, and he was lost and alone. But he was not the only life on the island. In the night, leaves rustled, and twigs snapped from within the island's thick green center. The man fought the urge to investigate. Birds and whatever they'd knocked loose seemed the apparent explanation for the noises. So another day went by, and then another, and finally, after having gone a few days without seeing any signs of coming rescue, the man sharpened a stick and stepped into the forest. He walked through waist-high grass and ducked beneath hanging vines, slid between trees and stepped over fallen limbs. And then eventually, the forest opened up to a large circular area. Nothing inside but long grass and a single bare tree. An odd-looking tree with a drooping limb on either side. Its top a roughly rounded wooden ball. Slivers of sunlight streaked downward like heavenly rays. It was tranquil and green, and to the man, it seemed how the Garden of Eden might have looked. The man found it alluring, and was drawn in like a magnet. A calm washed over him. In this area, the grass seemed softer. Its shadows felt more cooling. Its ribbons of sunlight more healing. He stepped closer towards the tree, which, while taller than him, was not tall like any of the other trees. As the man came nearer, he was increasingly struck by the strange appearance of the tree and found himself wondering if perhaps it wasn't a tree at all, but something else. Something artificial. It even looked a bit like... There was a sudden snap of a twig beneath the man's foot, and what first seemed to be a tree promptly spun around and glared at him. From its splintered mouth came an unwelcoming snarl. The frightened man fell backward and frantically scrambled to his feet. A quick bounding nightmare rushed through the tall green grass, and as the fleeing man stole a final hurried glance towards a growing, guttural roar, he saw the thing's wild eyes and rabid, snarling mouth. In a blink, the creature snagged his legs from beneath him, and his sharpened stick was knocked from his hand. He was dragged towards the center of the circle, clenching fistfuls of grass, screaming desperately and hopelessly. Beyond the tearing of flesh and snapping of bone was the distant rumble of a searching plane.